and peace. Because there cannot be peace without freedom, and if you claim otherwise, then I can assure you that your peace will be short-lived. True freedom comes from within, and it cannot be expected to be offered by another individual. We are advised either to take it by force or die trying. That there is no other option that an individual can surely get their fullest freedom than the above-mentioned procedures. Compared to the dog, the wolf is a true symbol of freedom or of those who refuse to be spoon-fed. In my noble opinion, I believe that freedom means to be able to do as you wish without interfering with the desires of another living being, humans, animals, and plants. It means to defend oneself without crossing the line of self-defense, because too much of anything is always considered not good. Otherwise, we may end up on the side of the oppressors instead of oppressed. My main task is to bring unity between the conflicting ideologies and make sure that the citizens have their full rights. It is a vision that respects nature and everything within it. When it comes on the state matter, it can be seen that under freedom, population expands and the nation flourishes with great wealth. But the opposite is also true. Being under tyrant, the nation will cease to expand, development and life will get tougher, and worse as time passes by. This tyranny comes in many forms, whether within or without. The final outcomes are always the same. That is why freedom is such a great ingredient in any country that wishes to have free citizens and do their businesses in peace. True freedom emerges from a republican state and not in a monarchy. The former is true because the citizens have got the final voice in the state affairs, while the latter is ruled only by the few, kings and queens, similar to aristocracy, where the intellects or the fit ones are trusted with full power. Those who work with me, they are confident that we are working towards the creation of a true republican state that will make sure the voices of all the citizens are heard before deciding on a state matters, including any important matter that will affect or change the course of the nation and living standards of the population. Free nation. Before wishing for personal freedom, it would be wise to seek for the freedom of all, meaning that the state must be free before any citizen declares himself or herself to be free too. The ideology of collectivism is individualism. The I, the individual, must be left behind and allow the we, the citizens, to take form first. Because with unity and liberty, businesses flourishes better than under tyranny or corrupted republics. The society or nation is the foundation upon which the culture of people resides on. The land carries both the society and the culture within it. Therefore, it is only through our togetherness that will be well secured and living in peace without the fear of being taken by surprise from any outside invasion. Better unity than division. The true definition of culture is that it contains all human activities, which includes economics, politics, ideologies, and their philosophical ideas. Therefore, it is such a great entity that cannot be allowed to vanish as long as people are fighting for the right cause of achieving their freedom. Since the society is the container upon which culture rests, they are both considered essential in any living environment. Thus, the nation depends upon culture and vice versa, meaning that there cannot be the nation without culture and culture without the presence of a nation in the first place. And when your culture is destroyed, then the nation or the society is truly going to ruin. The people won't be able to tolerate it, except those who are well prepared for it or those who are always adaptive to change at any given time and circumstances. Every culture is truly different from one another. The African culture cannot be the same as the European, or the European to be similar to the American culture. Different environments and people or societies will end up producing different outcomes, different cultures. It is therefore our responsibility to enjoy and respect our cultures, including the cultures of others. The truest conquest must be carried in the mind and not in causing more pain to another living being. Above all, we must respect nature in order to reap more of her pleasures that she always bestows upon us on a daily basis. Here, the citizen ought to be responsible for their actions and act maturely by following the correct laws within the environment. Maturity should become our daily practices and never to allow any mature thought to penetrate through the mind without our knowledge of its presence. It can be said that politics is dependent upon economics and economics upon culture. In simple terms, the mindsets of the population will increase or decrease the economy of the country. When they are motivated to work in their desired sectors, then the state will flourish both in wealth and supplies. The demands of the population will be met with easiness, as the supplies will never run short. But when the citizens are not motivated to work, then we cannot expect the same outcomes as it is illustrated above. The economy will decrease instead of increasing, thus bringing along it all the negative attributes like hunger, poverty, and famine within the state. A true citizen or patriot is the one who will fight to the death in order to keep ameliorating his nation and never to allow it to become a laughingstock before others. We have to take responsibility in our hands. I am placed in. I am adaptive to an environment and ready to put my expertise to improve the lives of many rather than keeping all the knowledge to myself. Because I believe that knowledge is similar to wealth. Both are useless when not in use. Knowledge must be extended to ignorant ears and wealth multiplied in order to keep its value. Politics is simply the interaction between two or more people. However, it is crucial for every politician to understand the interaction between people and nature. That is to say, economics is the backbone of politics. The voice of the people must be heard, but we must keep an open eye on the improvement of our economics too. That is what will make it possible to put the bread on the table daily. The relationship between famine and wealth has been mentioned in the previous chapters. We ought to learn how to distinguish them when dealing with people in different circumstances. Communities. I strongly believe that our communities can be easily improved by the or place first before anything cannot be expected to produce good fruit. Therefore, the good seeds must be planted in the minds of the citizens in order to ameliorate their lives and to allow them to live in peace of mind with full guaranteed freedom at their doorsteps. It is our philosophical thinking that gives shape to our ideologies, which in turn reshape our philosophical approaches towards life. Philosophy is a seed or thought that allows us to think and examine several scenarios of our environment. It is the search of wisdom in order to comprehend the world and the universe in which we are the citizens of. Therefore, philosophy cannot be avoided if any nation is striving to become a developed country. That there cannot be manifestation of anything if the minds of people are still living in ignorance. Mental transmutation along with their scientific explanation must be taught in schools to illuminate the minds of everyone, the young and old alike. By shaping and reshaping the minds of the people in the correct manner, that will be the only path to utopianism. Simply because true change must begin inside the brain or mind before taking any form on the physical level. That is because the mental plane is above the physical, just as the mental is useless before the spiritual. In simple terms, the intuition is more developed is more advanced than the intellect. It is said that the intellect always divides, while the intuition unites all. And it is a great philosophical thought that ought to be embraced by people accepting the existence of the spiritual realm in order to avoid dysentopia in any generation and prepare for the great times of a golden age. Independence. What is the real definition of the word continent Africa? And I ask the help of my African brothers and sisters in fulfilling this vision. Let's get out of our dreaming state and turn all of our dreams into visions. The final step is to act, following into the footsteps of the famous maxim, quote, actions speak louder than words. Social and cultural influences. At this stage, we are all familiar with the meaning of the word culture after the concrete definition that were given in the previous chapters. Don't let the word social throw you off. It is just a study of the society we are currently living in and their organizations. How do you wish to organize the people and how will the people react to those changes? What are the behaviors of the citizens within the society or nation? That is why I said that culture is dependent upon the society, because all cultures are the byproducts of the people. Same as poverty can be said to be the byproduct of colonization or lack of mental development. All the cultures rest upon the society, and that is why we must respect and value them everywhere we go. They are our identities whenever we go out of our environments. We may decide to change according to the new environment that we are currently living in, but we cannot forget the pleasures or nightmares of the previous culture that we left behind. Therefore, there's no doubt that social and cultural influences are happening daily, and this is such a great thing if we truly believe that change is inevitable in any given environment. But it would be unwise to talk about the social and cultural influences without implementing the benefits of history. It is a well-known fact that history is simply the study of the past events happening within the society. It doesn't stop there. History can still be seen in every culture, economics, politics, ideologies, and all philosophies, meaning that it is not a lightweight subject that can be put off, because without knowing history or the history of your nation, then you surely get nowhere in life. You will be as ignorant as you appear to be in front of everyone you encounter. Many authors have emphasized the importance of history, and I do not wish to write an essay on it again. Go and find yourself, mostly your self-worth, through the history of your nation. Read everything that you can get your hands on and never avoid anything because it is outdated. All the knowledge are beneficial at the right time. I believe that it won't be fair place to talk about the social aspect of people without touching on the land. This word can be easily confused with the nation. But it is the other way around, because the land came first before anything. The land gave us our history, and sometimes history awakens the sleeping souls up on their feet to reclaim their land and rights back. The land is a final container that holds everything within it. The word land here is attributed to nature itself, and nothing can go outside of it. All is in the land, and the land reflects in all. In simple terms, all philosophies give birth to ideologies. Politics is born from different ideologies. Economics shape of political views. Culture rests on the society. In every land, there's a society, and every land has got its own history. Since history is just an abstract word, and the land is the concrete part, the credit will be given to the land. And then every land will have its own historical events that happened in the past, or still happening even today. From this point of view, history appears to be an endless journey, and it is always found from generation to generation. It is, however, the duty of every leader to familiarize themselves with history, both from a nation and worldwide, to keep oneself updated with the current situations of the universe. That is what I've been doing since I pursued my engineering course. I decided to dedicate my time and energy to self-thought and collecting useful books that are beneficial to improving the mental mind, because I believe that the brain, or mind, has the right to be fed in the same manners as we love to feed our stomachs. And when the mind is busy, the stomach cannot complain of hunger too. Therefore, we ought to give little thought to food, for the stomach is never satisfied and it can never be satisfied for a lifetime. Only when the mind is full, earthly citizens. That is why I said it is the policy. Its policies are based on humanism. As a humanist, I believe that socialism is the only path to the promised land of liberty. It is the land of hope for everybody, without exclusion of those who were born disabled or those who are too weak or sick to get anything done by themselves. We must aim to help those or this kind of people instead of exploiting them daily. Above all, we ought to aim for humanity above exploitation. No matter which environment you find yourself in, humanity should be your motto in life. And if you cannot help your friend with some cash, at least you have to show them the way to success too. Teach others that which will be beneficial to them in the future, and don't aim to drag them behind in the past. I prefer the concept of teaching others how to fish than aiming to give them a fish daily, because this behavior will only keep those individuals, more dependent upon you, instead of them being independent in life. The best option will be to take them under your care and guide them through the land of success, those elevating and learning from one another. Corruption. The truth about corruption is that it is everywhere, even there where you imagine to be living in paradise land. In fact, most of the superpowers became so through using pure corruption upon their enemies as well as the so-called friends. That is because the corrupted mind has no true friend, and whatever it does, it will be only to his own benefit. The end will always justify his means. Once the man chooses the path of corruption, then the soul will also follow along. It will become corrupted too. Your mind and soul will never find rest until the day you decide to feed them the truth. Upon that, one may question the best policy that can abolish corruption completely from the face of the earth. Is it capitalism, communism, socialism, or democratic socialism? The list is endless, as we have many variations of several systems in our generation. Many are still being put into practice to see the effects upon the society and its people. We are still experimenting with several policies to see which one will best suit our desires, both individually and collectively. Because the capitalists praise individualism, socialists rely more on the humanism, and for the communists, it is all about collectivism. In the case of capitalism, the state has got little control of the daily business. Socialism is the voice of the workers or employees against the mistreatment of their employers. We stand on the foundations of demanding equality in any sector that involves the working of any being, humans and animals. That includes security and the well-being of each individual, both physically, mentally, and spiritually. Remember that I said that freedom cannot be given in small bundles. If you want to take it, then you must take it all and at once without hesitation. Because it is something that belongs to you and not to someone else. Individual freedom is not something that can be shared, but in socialism we are talking about the freedom of many. Communism, which has many similarities to socialism, except that the leader has too much control of the population, and the only voice that can be heard is the voice of the few, the elites. The first aim of communism is claiming that, quote, health is wealth, or health is much greater compared to wealth. Then how come you still follow the policy that puts people or profit before people? I cannot blame you for judgment, because I believe that we say one thing while wishing for another. It is a human nature. But I believe in the famous saying that a prudent man should mean whatever he says and say only that which he means, being firm in words and then follow up with action according to beliefs which you hold deep inside, because deceit or anything that involves self-deception is the source of corruption within an individual. The seat of power. My African leaders have a dilemma of clinging too much on power for their own personal gains. That must change in our generation, and we cannot expect it to change while standing idle or without us doing anything towards that dilemma. The greatest amongst you is the one who can spot a mistake and then act upon it immediately without leaving it for tomorrow. Since power is a desire just like any other desire out there, I won't be surprised why many of the leaders hate to leave the seat of power. To some of them, it is a dream come true, because it seems to be something coming totally out of nowhere. It has been considered directly with the Creator, with so many famous chants invented to praise the rulers, like, quote, God bless the king, or / the queen. This dilemma is not only found in the political world, including in many religions too, where the individual is persuaded to love the stranger, founder, or the prophet of his religion more than he loves his father and family altogether. This seat of power can be found everywhere, and it is often hidden behind the curtains when it comes to religious matters. In reality, there's a power struggle in every community, no matter how small it may appear before your senses. At the same time, that does not mean that the evil doings of a tyrant are justified before the people whom he is ruling. Humanity must always be placed first, not in the center or at the end, and human rights must be respected in any given environment, because the dictatorship that destroys everything it touches instead of constructive, is considered to be the major sin in humanism. Any leader who clings on power is ready to be considered mean during and after his departure, and there cannot be any song of glory attributed to him that is genuinely coming from the citizens. My philosophy and ideology forbids me to hold firmly on power with two hands. I'll always remain true to myself and pray that the Creator will keep me on the right path of governance. My instincts of transformation will do all the magic to keep sure that the population are living well according to their desires, and make sure that their standards match up with those of the world. My ideology or ideological reasoning is based on humanism, and that is what I wish to rest my mind upon, nothing more and nothing less. Cure of poverty. I have discussed the matter of corruption and how to get rid of it. Now we are faced with the major subject of poverty, the most popular one that is always given a blind eye in every generation. Even Jesus didn't know which side he should be on. Sometimes he praised the poor, the hard workers, and the rich. The other time he acted according to the scriptures, like a true communist who wanted everything to be equally divided in the society. According to the scripture, he praised and practiced celibacy, and then discouraged his apostle to walk with a wallet in the pocket. In short, his philosophical thinking was based on simple lifestyle that made sure everyone got something, thus the famous saying of loving one's neighbors as you so love yourself. This was the oldest Jewish belief, even before the of poverty, meaning that equality must come before elitism. And when the citizens are treated equally, regardless of their genders or abilities, then the world will become a better place indeed. Which means that those who lack the ability will be taught the necessary skills to make them capable to see the future opportunities passing by. Those fighting against poverty through the implementation of correct education schema. Charity's charge is such a great idea too, but it is useless when left without education. By using the word education here, I'm emphasizing about the mental development of the citizens, aiming for more practicality rather than mere theories that will lead the population nowhere. I condemn charity because everything has got its invisible cost attached to it, as it has been mentioned in the previous chapters. The more you expect or take from others, the more you will become bound to them. Since charity falls in the category of expectations, it cannot be relied upon and it is something that is out of our control. Meaning, we cannot force anyone to give out to charity or predict how much we can gain from a charitable organization. Moreover, those who are controlling these charities cannot be fully trusted to deliver the goods to the needy ones. There's always a compensation in everything. The philosophers of the past and in our generation have long argued that the only way to eliminate poverty is by wanting less, meaning that one ought to quench the desires and try as much as possible to be satisfied with that little which